very, very calculated, making sure he's kind of reeling in Oldskool, who's a little bit more of a wild cannon, making sure he's always on top of his game. The draft underway. Finn coming off the board is the first ban for Team Oldskool.
Yeah, we were just talking about shaded talent and his Finn ability, so that's going to be taken off the board right away. Although it's going to be Oldskool that takes that away, so you're not going to be allowing his own teammate to get that hero, because if they don't want to first pick it, it's one of those things. If it's not strong enough to first pick for yourself, you don't want to let your opponent get it in their double picks.
Yeah, Anka coming off next. A super strong pick up in that top lane. Her ability to just get onto those back lane carries is so deadly. Reza being banned, I would be really surprised if Team DNZio didn't take Vox off the board right here. I think that's something that Oldskool would actually play exceptionally well in that mid lane, but it's going to be really interesting to see what they decide to go with.
Yeah, and we were talking about the captain matchup, but how about the mid lane matchup? It's the captains going head to head, DNZio and Oldskool. This goes all the way back to the early Vainglory stages. These two guys were constantly battling it out in the lane for supremacy, and so Vox going the way of Oldskool, that was kind of a signature pick for DNZio. He's going to be looking to answer, obviously he knows how to play against Oldskool. He's done it numerous times in the past. He's going to match it up with a Celeste, and that feels like a 3v3 matchup.
Yeah, it does. Celeste, one of those picks that traditionally plays very well against Vox. As a CP Vox, he's still going to be in that backline, just trying to use those resonance bounce damage to his advantage, just splashing off whoever gets caught in the front line. This is an interesting draft. I mean, Arden's still on the table for this second round of picks for Team Oldskool. Very, very different from what we've seen compared to the first two games.
Yeah, I feel like that Celeste pick, I like the fact that they picked Celeste for themselves, but it almost felt like you didn't have to grab it here, because Vox is almost exclusively played in the mid lane right now. There wasn't going to be too much of a chance of those Vox getting rotated into a top lane or the bottom lane. So I feel like grabbing the Celeste may have been a little bit premature there for DNZio's squad. You could have grabbed themselves like the Arden along with the Lyra or the Flicker, to round out their sort of big front line. But they are still having the option to grab themselves that Churnwalker. So they still have a lot of sustainability with those two heroes.
Absolutely. The Arden and the Flicker, though, so effective and so strong at getting onto that back line. I mean, whether it's the Mooncloak or engaging with a Gauntlet, it's going to be a lot that DNZio has to be very, very aware of. You mentioned in game number one that I need a few positioning errors. If you miss position against Flicker and Arden, you will be punished very quickly.
Yeah, we'll see if any big tank comes through. I feel like the DNZio squad, because you have that Crystal Vox on the opposing side, you kind of want to avoid going for a massive frontline tank. Obviously Finn is banned, but Lance would be one of those. Like, I really don't want to see them grabbing a Lance, because that's just a target that the Vox can just constantly bounce shots off of. But how about the Lorelei coming through late as well? That was another hero that we've been seeing a lot of bans go towards the Lorelei, and she gets picked up 4th for Oldskool's side before they round out with a Kinetic.
Team Oldskool's composition right now is looking very scary. So many power picks that we have seen taken off the board so quickly throughout, not just today, but even West G last weekend. I really wonder where a lot of this draft strategy is coming from Team DNZio.
Yeah, and they grabbed the Inara. That's one of these heroes that once you get to the late game, the ultimate that she uses can be amazing for an engage, but it's basically matched by Flicker's Mooncloak. And then you have the Lyra Portal. Yeah, that's a really strong engage, but then you have Lorelei can just throw down her slow field and just stop that in its tracks. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these engages and disengages pair up.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm super excited to see Inara jumping on. I think this is the first or maybe second Inara we've seen in the VPL. But also, we've got a Flicker Mooncloak engage against Celeste and Silvernail. Both heroes that really suffer against hard engage compositions. Is that something, can you win that team fight if you're on that side, if you need to play as defensive as that?
I mean, you can win it because obviously Silvernell has that big knockback. He can knock into a stun. Then you have the Lyra that can portal you into a different position if need be. But it's definitely something they have to be very careful and aware of their positioning.
All right, it's time to get to the third game of the day. It's Oldskool versus DNZio, the classic carry matchup. I'm going to give it over to Humanist and DNZio once again.
Well, I hope you're all ready for a hype matchup. I know I sure am. I'm Humanist, joined once again by DNZio for some fire here as Team Oldskool take on Team DNZio in our third match of the day.
Yeah, really exciting stuff coming out here. The classic Oldskool versus DNZio mid lane matchup. And Oldskool playing Vox as well. It's what you want to see, especially considering the fact that his Vox has always been legendary. We'll have to see how DNZio handles it on the Celeste.
I'm sure DNZio will do just fine. This guy, he's always so quick
they're
to get back
1v1
again. They're
in the
squared
mid.
up. They're squared up. Who gets it? Zio's gonna get it. They're gonna kill each other. Oh, no! They just push it to the end. These guys, man, just standing on the edge of that one. Neon Fire does grab that crystal train right in front of Papa John's face as Lulu makes the rotation over. Just a little too late on that one. At the same time, Delphi and Blank squaring up with Evil and their own jungle. Just a bit of a mirror rotation across the map.
Yeah, no, everyone's going for very similar objectives here. Disappointed that we didn't get a first blood out of that mid lane battle. Both those guys decided to, gentleman's agreement, go back to base, try again in a later time. But I just wanted to see someone die, even if it was both of them. These guys, they have such a lot of history against each other back in the 3v3 days, even in the competitive stages, international stages as well. They have always gone head to head. Oldskool, he's not really known for his CP carries, but Vox is kind of played very similarly when you do play him CP mid as to the weapon power. It's all about kiting. It's about using your auto attacks to generate resonance bounces and do a lot of AoE damage that you can stack up pretty quickly. So, Oldskool is going to be very comfortable on this pick here. And not to mention, we got a Lorelei on the table as well. Shaded Talent finally gets that one through. It just feels like a lot of priority picks have been let through. Not to mention, Inara is here as well, just to showcase her power here. Pico going to be playing that down in the bottom lane, or his top lane as it would be with the mirror matchup. And so I'm really excited to see how Pico plays out, because we already saw him on Kensei earlier today. A lot of power showcased in that melee, assassin type champion. What can he do with this Inara is the real question. Can he dive in? Can he use that ability, character to this hero to find damage? Because Inara, while she can be played weapon power top, her kit is more defensive. It's more utility, in my opinion. She's kind of got that ultimate that allows everyone to go in, and that's where that utility really shines through. I guess, her 2 A and B is quite offensive, but she doesn't really strike me as a super aggressive character that is frontlining damage as much. It kind of feels more supporty to me, but maybe Pico can show me different.
We'll see. Here in the meantime, though, Oldskool forced down the river. Papa John had him chained up there. He'll be able to break that and go ahead and get himself back. But yeah, talking about the Inara, I feel like I think I agree with the way you described it. At the same time, it's like where you fight on the map is super important to this hero.
Oh yeah,
and that'll play a huge factor when it comes down to how effective he's able to take advantage of her kit.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Inara has a lot of damage available to her. It's not that Pico won't be able to be a threat on this Inara, but Inara kind of sets up for a team. She allows DNZio on this Silvernail to get nice and personal. He allows Papa John to really run into the enemy team and land those hooks. Pico's almost more of a supportive character. He's not the main protagonist of this movie. He's a supporting cast. And so we'll have to see how that plays out, because in the previous matchup, Pico on this Kensei was kind of the star of the team. Trading that role is really important, especially in these, very new teams. Pico, though? Okay.
Pico! They committed for the turret. He finds first blood as the answer. Evo with the rotation, drops the bulwark. It's a double kill for Inara. They do lose the turret, but they get the turret on the opposite side of the map. What a rotation, what a play.
Clearly Pico's ears were burning, because he's like, you want a star? Here it is. Maybe a little bit too aggressive. Wanted that passive.
Supporting actor? I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. Screw you, Dalsy. I'm going to carry this game, says Pico. But yeah, wow, really impressive stuff coming out of him, and just shows that, you know, if there is an overextension, then they are in trouble. He will punish. Turrets go down simultaneously across the map. Both those side lanes pushed up as you would expect. But Pico with a double kill off the back of it was not how this script was written.
Pico feeling good about that. Now your job also for the early game basically done, so that turret's down a little bit more freedom to react. Now he jumps right in, Dance of Leafs, knocks Oldskool back into position to take a little bit of damage, but now Oldskool kiting back, doing a pretty good job thus far, but now once he is wrapped up, he will go down, able to throw out a couple attacks there and get a return kill though. So Nara falls down, Pico not happy about that, and Delphi has to try and wiggle his way out of this one. Churnwalker chained up, we'll go ahead and break that, doesn't want to stay on it because the allies over here. Blanks eats a solar storm to the face, trespassed and wrecked down. I don't think he saw that one coming.
No, and definitely didn't expect the flanking play from DNZio either on the Silvernail. All in time for this Ghost Wing spawn, but DNZio's team not looking for it just yet. No, the risk and the short respawns mean that it's not something they can just burst on down. They don't quite have the DPS yet for that, but it's starting to snowball in favor of DNZio. Pico has got online with this Inara really early in a solo lane as well. It's not good news for Oldschool's team, with DNZio and DNZio also scaling up to become really huge threats. There's a lot of power that DNZio's team is going to be finding themselves in very shortly. Oldschool's, they're going to have to be careful. They want to get to the late game. They want to allow Blanks on this Kinetic to scale up. They want to allow Oldskool on this Vox to scale up as well. Both late game carries realistically on this team, meaning that they're going to have to play around their rotations very wisely. They're going to have constant vision up on these main objectives and the flanking routes as well, because of the speed that Inara is able to give to a team and the engage Evo can pull with an arcane passage as well. These fights can break out very quickly if DNZio's team wants it.
Yeah, it feels like there's no real reason for Team Oldskool to be forcing any fights here, although, you know, that's kind of where they found themselves in that last engage, and it just didn't go their way. But it makes sense the way you described it there. I feel exactly the same way, and it's kind of played out that way in the early game here as well. I do feel like Booth's super important to Oldskool on the CP Vox. Like, positioning feels like it's going to be everything for him.
Yeah, and Lulu's just kind of overextended here. It does take one for him, but Oldskool will be able to come through and clean that one up there. That's just an overextension extension coming through from the side of DNZio. You know, thankfully in almost a 1v3 is able to come out with a kill for themselves, because that kind of allows Team DNZio to keep pressure across the map. But Oldschool's team kind of has to know that if there are overextension, if there are mistakes made, that they should execute off them.
Zio stunned up by the fish food. Fountain keeps him alive, turns around, Solar Storm's a whiff, but he gets through the Arcane Passage. Nice job, Evil! He's gonna be stoked that that one was there. I'm not even sure if he knew that passage was there. He just sucked him back into defensive position. Nice job by the Lyra.
Yeah, really good stuff. I mean, Evil's Lyra, Evil's captain is a thing of beauty. Definitely the next top tier captain in the Vainglory scene is Evil, and that's been called by so many top tier captains. They've said, you know, watch out for Evil. This guy is grinding hard and he wants it hard. I have to see if Evil can continue to showcase his talent as this game does play out, because that passage was perfectly positioned to allow for DNZio to escape. I mean, you see that DNZio was able to get out there. This Vox into Celeste matchup, Celeste kind of wins early. Vox kind of starts to come out on top later on. There's nothing really DNZio can do to stop Vox from being on top of him, but since this is a CP Vox, less threatening than a weapon power.
Whoa! Zio squaring up. When they turn around, Fish Food connects one more time. Delphi moving in under the guise of invisibility, kind of catching Zio by surprise, but they're going to be just fine. A lot of damage traded on both sides. Nobody will fall.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not just yet.
Both sides threatening is the main thing. Shape Talent's Lorelei has been pretty on point. Those fish foods really just keeping DNZio under pressure here. Pico on this Inara, can he take out Blanks?
Looks like he was wanting it, but just over the wall. You know, that's one of the nice things. They're easily over onto that treant there. Delphi comes down, takes a nice chunk of burst damage.
Oh, no.
The healing. Oh, Pico chopped. no, able to dance himself away with a knockback. That hero mobility is nuts.
Fun hero, by the way. I mean,
Neon
Pico's
Fire.
having a
Oh
ball.
my goodness, almost dropped up the top.
Amazing stuff coming out of Pico. I mean, Pico was kind of playing around getting the Treant for the passive, but wasn't quite able to do so. Felt like it was going to be a little bit XD'd, but it didn't turn out that way because of the mobility that came out. Kind of just schooled everyone, and a huge rotation coming out of Oldskool that isn't rewarded. It gives DNZio the pressure necessary to take down a top lane turret. When you make mistakes, when you don't get what you need, when you commit so many men to one person and fail, well, things will be taken from you. That's always been the way of MOBA gameplay, and DNZio is a constant, sustained threat to those turrets in the top lane, scaling up, trying to get on top of blanks. Yeah, trying again.
Mini stun there, splash down, gives it the boost. That's a 4-hero rotation. Pico just foreheads them as he walks away. What's going on down here?
I mean, it's Inara, isn't it? Inara is a mobile hero. Very squishy. When you do lock her down, when you do keep her CC, yeah, you take her out. But when we talk about the amount of damage available, it's kind of sustained damage, but it's not great single target sustained damage because of the fact that Oldskool isn't really contributing to single target sustained damage. He wants to be bouncing the resonance of something else to do his damage. And so it just kind of allows for Inara to dance.
Well, right now, maybe a chance to bounce some of these attacks off. Lulu, a lot of damage coming out onto Delphi. He had the stakes down. And there's the fortification on the turret for the time being. Now, 5 heroes rotated from both teams over here into the mid lane. Celeste able to take this. Pico finds Blanks down in the jungle. Knock back, jump right back in over the top. Pico's got the kill. Solar Storm onto 4. Looks like Oldskool able to get in there and get Pico, but now Shaded Talent, he's found out damage there. Wait for it, connects. Time to Sonic Zoom on forward. Nice bouncing damage coming through from Oldskool. Trust back's back, but they got the damage. That's actually Lyra taking the kill on Evil, securing the kill onto the Vox there. At the end of the day, 4 versus 2 as Team DNZio have advantage. Very nicely done once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing stuff coming out of Pico there to take down Blanks all by himself, and then, you know, doesn't get out alive, but kind of done his job there. If Inara can take down Blanks on this this kinetic, then the DPS available to the side of Oldschool's team is significantly lowered, and DNZio and DNZio were just kind of able to trade their positioning to do the rest of the work. Turret taken. Map control gained. They've got a huge gold lead here, 6,000, but it doesn't feel like this gold lead is as decisive as you would expect it to be. Still, this kinetic, still this Oldschool's Vox, proving difficult for DNZio's team to take out here. You really do have to respect the amount of damage that Oldskool can throw out.
Yeah, you definitely do, and I understand that Blanks has his rotations he wants to make, but at the same time, when there's a chance there's going to be a team fight, I think he has to realize, like, Vox wants everybody grouped up, right? Like, and that means, like, if he's out by himself, someone might try to target him. That's one less person to bounce off of or onto, and they just need to tighten this and kind of force these fights to group up.
Yeah, they really do. At this point, if they're able to catch out DNZio's squad and lay down a lot of AoE damage coming out of the box, then all of a sudden these fights do turn around. Yeah, Pico, is he caught? Question mark?
Dance over the ball. Later, nerds.
And look at that, once more a huge commit, and Oldschool's caught out trying to defend against this.
Oh, nice!
Just so much damage. If you commit to Pico, then DNZio's team is going to go Black Claw, and then if you commit to Black Claw at a disadvantage, then Oldskool found out what happens there. Black Claw will go over to Team DNZio here. Pico is kind of just styling.
Oh, that was it's always nice to see, you know, like it doesn't feel good, of course, if you're Oldskool or Team Oldskool fan or anything like that. Of course, I'm a big Oldskool fan myself, but we just love to see that damage just rain through and just wreck someone.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate macro gameplay coming out of Oldschool's team. They want to commit to try and take out Pico, but Pico feels very confident on this Inara and is kind of just schooling them every time they look for the engage.
Oh, that's going to be Lulu getting picked off on the edge of this fight as Black Claw pushes down the lane. The engage call onto Zio. Oldskool bouncing some good attacks off, but they kind of split their Papa John with War Treads, allows them to reposition Oldskool. 1-on-1, Zio, he's gonna get the block off. Nope. Zio taken on down. Now Papa John probably drops next. They're all low. Trespass to the other side. Now Pico's there. Pico, it's the dance of leaves, baby. You're in the jungle. My name's Zanara. Pico went ham, blew them all up. That was nuts.
I'm just kind of eating my words at this point. Pico is unstoppable at this point, truly just showing his immaculate ability to play this new hero and doing it so fantastically as well. Almost feels like there's nothing you can do against Pico Zanara.
Yeah, I think you just lose at this point.
Just lose.
Just, you know, that's my analysis. Just get wrecked.
Open the scoreboard and surrender.
Surrender, dude. Yep, screenshot it, share it to Twitter. Go next.
That's it. Yeah, the infamous screenshot folders that these NA pros hold over each other. But right now it's Pico currently showing up 6-2-2 on the Inara and has 2,000 gold just waiting to be spent as well. It's not even final form Inara from Pico. Crazy stuff happening here on the Sovereign's Rise right now. Kind of feel for Oldschool's team. It feels like they've committed too much resources into trying to shut down Pico, but it's all been too late, and now Blanks is dead.
Blanks taking a lot of damage.
maybe not.
Trading. Pico's the one that's dropping down as Blanks tries to boot forward. Has the ult. Hits pretty hard, but will not be enough. And nice little trade back and forth there. 4 members of Team DNZio up in this top lane. They want the Armory. Armory's going to drop. Leaves Lulu a little bit vulnerable, but an Arcane Passage allows them to reposition. Papa John thinking about dropping himself, but now 4 heroes come on through from Team Oldskool. Solar Storm puts them down, and now DNZio will be able to aggress forward. Lorelei does a good job of slowing down her opponents, but I don't think there's enough waterfall onto Blanks. Blanks popped anyway. And this looks like it's Team DNZio's to take here, so they'll go ahead and move in. It's Delphi and Shaded Talent. We'll look to slow this down, wait maybe for Oldskool or Neon Fire to respawn. I'm not sure how much damage they can do here as the hook and chains hold them together. Finding 1, finding 2, that's the ace in your face. It's a disgrace as Team DNZio takes down Squad Oldskool.
I mean, the constant broken record of Dalsy. Oldskool, try to focus on Pico. Not going to work. He's going to school you. He's going to waste your time and allow LuluZio and DNZio to do the damage necessary. A 4v5 easy team fight comes out for DNZio's team. They're going to take their victory here on the Rise.
Man, Celeste is looking good today. You know who else is looking good? I know a guy named Munchables who wants to take this one away.